All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Cuzzo podcast. My name's Luis Pimentel. That's why it says double L. Today I have with me my wonderful and beautiful wife, Kaya. Would you like to introduce yourself, ma'am?
Yeah. So I'm Kaya Wilson Pimentel. We've been married 7 going on 8 years. Been together going 9 years. We have 3 amazing kids. Somewhat amazing. They remind me from Donnie from the Wild Thornberries most days, but
3 of them.
yeah, but they're amazing. Nonetheless, I don't really do much far as like jobs. Well, I do a lot of things, but
Your
I don't
boss
work.
might watch this. I suggest that you would explain.
Boss,
what
but
you do.
he's a part-time boss and also family, but I don't work like a traditional 9 to 5.
Okay, but what do you do for your like?
I am the office manager for a transportation company.
Nice. Okay.
On top of 20 million other
Yeah,
things.
you do a lot of that. We're doing a lot of dabbling
Oh, yeah.
nowadays. Yeah, from my full-time job to podcasts to
Yep.
streaming a few times a week
To streaming with your daughter.
to streaming with my daughter,
Yeah.
and then basically content creation
Yep.
at the same time. That's a lot. And then you're
I'm an
So-
office manager.
office manager, notary.
I have an educational platform for financial services.
No, you're doing a lot.
State certified and everything too, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you got your papers certified.
I'm not illegal no more.
yeah. Hey, don't bring up trauma in my life.
It's only a year. You'll be fine.
It was not just a year, but
Oh,
we digress.
digress.
We don't need any 3-letter agency showing up at the door asking
No.
me questions. But
No.
okay. So like I said, we've been married 7 going on 8.
Yep. In August. Do you
Is
know what day?
Is that no. We've been together 8,
You sure?
married 7,
You
going
sure?
on 7.
You sure?
How old is Ava?
It was 6.
So she'll be 7, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I remember.
Well,
I can't remember how old my daughter is. I can't remember how long we've been
So I guess that like kind of breaks down how quickly we got married and everything and started our relationship.
married. Yeah, no comment. It was quick. It was
very
quick. So very. Some people were like, "Well,
Are you sure?
yeah, for real."
I'm not going to ask which way it went if people were asking if you were sure, if I were sure.
Yeah, that's the topic for another day, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
part 2. Yeah, 3 months down the road.
What are we even talking about today?
I don't know. It's because we're doing a lot of, we got a lot going on.
Yeah, we always do.
Which I feel like everybody has a lot going on,
100%.
regardless if it's just job and kids or job, kids, family, or trying to build things or side hustles, and a little bit of
Creating
everything. So
generational wealth.
yeah, it's a good word. Yeah, there you go. It's a book word over here. But no, that is a very good thing to bring up, because that's something that I think a lot of people strive for. I know
Yeah.
that's something that we're working towards.
I think that's the new American dream. It's not about obtaining everything that you want to attain in life, but
Right.
also doing that and leaving some for the next generation.
Yes, 100% agree. Because I think that's, the house with the white picket fence
I don't
and all
want
that
that.
stuff with the golden, what is it? The house,
The white
picket fence and the golden
2.5
retriever.
kids and a
2,
golden
yeah,
retriever.
Yeah, there you go. So
2 cars.
yeah. So I think, just I believe that we should leave an inheritance for our kids' because
Yeah.
that's better for them to, it's easier for them to stand on your shoulders and start from the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm 100%.
I want to look
behind.
into that. Like, when did it start being the norm? When did it stop being the norm to leave something behind for your children and being turned into, you were born with a silver spoon? Like, I want to know, how did it change? Because, back in the day, way back in the day, it was like the normal thing to do was to leave everything to your children and their children. And now it's like, as Americans, I can speak just for us, it's kind of more of you obtain everything that you want in life, and it's no one's really talking about what you leave behind.
I feel like there's the generations between that generation. Like, I feel like the generation before the boomers, and then boomers, and then Generation X, now millennials. I think we're both millennials.
Yeah.
I don't know. You might be.
I'm on the border, but I will only classify with the millennials. Okay,
that's fine.
I have more millennial expertise than. What's the other one? Gen Zers.
Yeah, nothing wrong. Yeah. Nothing wrong with Gen Z.
Yes, there is. There's a lot.
Millennials raised them, so I mean, just saying.
Agree.
You know, Generation X, I gotta take some responsibility.
They need to take all the responsibility.
So we actually have matching cups.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, we bought these long time ago.
We bought this our first year of marriage.
Yeah,
I think this was the first thing we bought that was like
with that, stuff. This is where our journey began. I don't know where that thing is. It ended up in the corner in the kitchen. I thought I put it up there.
Yes, that's where it is.
I couldn't see it from this angle.
Yeah, that was like when we first moved into our first apartment together. Those were like the first two things we bought. That was like, hey, we're married. And we haven't bought anything since.
There was a lot of transitions in end of 2017 into 2018, meeting each other, getting to know each other. Finding out about Ava.
Yeah.
Getting married, moving in together. At one point, you wanted to move in somewhere else. Well, I had a place, and then like paying 2 rents. You were staying with your cousin. I was staying with my cousin, and then we just had some crazy things happen. That kind of, I feel like God was like, "Hey, all right, it's time to go get your own thing," because there were too many things back to back. Don't want to go into too crazy specifics, but I think
we definitely went through a lot of trials early on.
Yeah.
And I think it's only strengthened us individually and together. It has to be because we have 3 kids now.
It's crazy right now. Yeah. But yeah, so here we are now. Since getting to know each other and meeting each other,
How old are our kids?
6, 3, and 1.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be 1 in a few weeks, right?
2
little baby Mateo, and then
only boy too.
I lucked out. I didn't strike out, ladies and gentlemen.
You almost did.
I had 1 strike. I shouldn't call my kid strikes. But yeah, no, I had my wonderful, beautiful oldest Ava, a bundle of joy. Everybody at church,
a bundle of personality.
Yes, everybody at church knows me as Ava's dad, as Araceli's dad. I don't necessarily think a lot of people know my name. I'm not mad, Elevation Church family, if you see this. I just know that that's just where I live right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Araceli, she's the enforcer.
She is the epitome. I don't know if I should say this on, but she is the epitome of mess around and find out.
There we go. Keep it PG.
She is definitely...
It's your assumption at your earliest convenience.
Very much 100% true. She is definitely going to be the one that tests us, but she's also the protector, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Like, she'll be the one to take the punishment for her sister, even though she knows her sister is wrong. Yeah. Like, she can scream and fuss at her sister, but we can't.
100%. There's been times where I'm, getting on Ava about XYZ, and she'll come up, say, no. Now, I will say,
she'll throw you under the bus too.
Here lately, she's just been, I even tested it, right? It was some kinetic sand. Oh, just to give y'all back, we're actually right next to each other.
Yeah.
But just for limitation purposes for the podcast, we're filming on 2 separate cameras, and that's, so if I look over, don't be like, where's he looking at? She's right next to me. But, it was some kinetic sand on the floor or something. No,
it was water in a bin in the bathroom.
Yeah, with the kinetic sand.
Yeah.
And then everybody, like Kai and Ava, were like, that was Sally. So I was like, let me test to see what Sally does. I was like, Sally, is this yours? She said, no.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
I was like, was it Mom? She's like, yes. And then I was like, should I go pop Mom? Should I, pop is just, pop her on the little butt or whatever. And she's like, yes. I mean, just like straight up, like and I pretended. I literally left the room, and I popped the side of the couch, and I told Kaya to fake cry. And then she's, oh, I was like, so Mommy did it? She's like, yes.
Yep.
And then I was like, are you sure? She's like, I was like,
Ava did it.
Yeah. I think you can hear Sally in the background.
Yeah, we have kids. She's watching something, so you can hear
something. If you hear Paw Patrol or Spidey or something, sorry. I try to edit it out as best I can. But Yeah. So, and then I did the same thing with Ava.
Yeah.
I was like, did Ava do it? She said yes. And then you could tell she was trying to do the right thing, but at the same time, she didn't want any kind of punishment. So that's our middle child. And of course, Mateo's a baby. He's
A lump of sack of
a
potatoes.
sack of potatoes. Not anymore. He's
crawling.
He's mobile.
And has 2 teeth.
Just 2 teeth.
They hurt. They hurt. Yeah. If you did not know, they hurt.
He went from just like hugging you to just like
yeah,
trying to bite you. So, but yeah, that's our family.
That's our synopsis.
Yeah. Yep. But I guess since we talked about, you know, trying to work on generational wealth and different things, like we've had our ups and downs when it comes to balancing this stuff. Like especially now with everything going on. I mean, with your education stuff and, you know, trying to balance out like household, family, extra stuff. And the same thing for me. Like how do you approach like balancing? Like how do you make it work? Because you're 10 times better at I am. In a previous episode I talked about the waffle and the spaghetti. That is 100% true. Because if it's not in my little box, I'm just like whatever about it.
So it's a working progress still. I think I used to hold everything in my brain and have this never-ending, never-enough list of things to always get done. It always included like things with the kids, things with the house, things with work, dates we have to remember, events we're going to, or if we're going to an event, the stuff we have to bring, and all these crazy things that I think not just women, but people who are balancing life, no matter what your stage of life is. If you're a mom, if you're a student, if you're a single person, I mean, I feel like life isn't one dimensional. We have different dimensions going on at all times.
Right.
So I used to be very analog, and I had a lot of lists and a lot of different notebooks. You used to get mad about it because I always leave my list everywhere. And then I
didn't get mad at the list.
You didn't get mad at the list. You were just mad that I always left it somewhere and I could never find it when I needed it.
Well, when you have kids, you leave something on the floor, it's bound to get scratched up, ripped up,
colored in.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah,
can never find it. But now we started using more calendars. I have a digital planner that I kind of use, and I think that to a certain degree, our days are very mundane. Like we do the same thing over and over again. As far as like we go to work, we're going to eat dinner at a certain time. Baby boy takes his nap at a certain time. So I think it's just ebbing and flowing through the moments in life where we have quote unquote downtime, because I don't feel like our day ever stops, but just like the slower moments.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have, even with I learn every single day, like you said. It's a growing progress for me too.
Yeah.
Progress. Did I say progress or process? I don't know.
It's a process to learn. You have to progress through.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That one's for Yaya. But yeah. So, like, I realized, like, hey, like, if I'm gonna do the things that I'm working on and build what I'm trying to do, because I'm also, like I said, it's podcast, streaming. I want to get back into real estate photography. I was heavily involved. I mean,
content creating.
So it's like I have all these things. It's just one big box, and I'm learning. It's all new. And so it's just YouTube, Chat GPT, and just community. Yeah, shout out to Chat GPT.
Old Chatty is what I call it.
Chatty, yeah, that's what we say. I have a question. We don't even say Google anymore. We just ask Chatty. I'm probably gonna get frowned upon. Somebody's gonna be upset about that. Sure.
I was against AI, for anyone asking.
Yeah.
I was against AI for the longest time. I still am to a certain degree.
I mean, we all seen Terminator.
Yeah, exactly. And iRobot, like, I'm sorry, I can get away, but I can't run long term. Not against a robot.
I gotta get something that has 100% battery.
Right. So I mean, for the longest, the only AI we had was Alexa, and even then, she was kind of sketchy.
Siri.
I don't trust her either. So, but just for there, I don't trust AI all the way.
But yeah, no. For me, it's like, okay, I have to set dates and set times, and then stick to them, because that's the other thing.
And communicate those times with your spouse.
I mean, that's why we even, shout out to skylight calendars. Is that what they're called?
Skylight.
Yeah, we got that. We got one of those set up. So like now it's like
I don't have to ask him what time he's gonna actually stream. I can just go and click on it and like, oh, okay, you're gonna be busy these days.
Because I had a little whiteboard up here on the wall up here, and I put all that stuff down. But then I write like
chicken scratch,
the Neanderthal over here. I'm like, hammer and chisel.
Yeah, your handwriting is pretty terrible.
I mean, my cursive is amazing. That's the funny part. My cursive is great. It
is better than mine. I'll give you that.
But I just, I don't know. We'll move on from that. But yeah, no, it's the having that organization is important, especially if you're trying to do a lot of different things. Yeah.
And I think like having the same goal in mind, like even though content creating, streaming is not my thing, I know that you're passionate about it and I feel your passion for it. So it makes me lock in with you on that particular goal, even though I don't have a care in the world for trying to play video games online. That's never going to be my thing. So I honor that that's your thing and your thing with Ava. And I honor that time that you guys have and make sure that if you're in that process to make sure everything else around you is kind of taken care of to give you that ample time and that ability to have that moment to do it and not have to worry about everything else going around you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I do. Cause I know, and I try to be like understanding of the time too,
right.
If I get off work 5 or 6 and I just go from work to hop on, I'm like, that's no way. That's not something you should do.
No.
Guys, if you're listening, don't do that. Like, communicate. If you got something going on, not that you can't do it or like you have to ask permission. It's never about asking permission. It's about the communication.
Yeah.
It's about saying, hey, I got this going on, because even though that's important to you and it's not that what you got going on isn't important to your partner, your wife, it's just about the communication. And the bigger the heads up, the better. Not like, if it's every time, then you're just not thinking ahead.
You're not thinking about your family either.
I can agree. I can agree to that.
Yeah,
I mean, not that you're not thinking about it. It's just
if you're putting your own goals ahead and doing everything that you want to do and never locking in with your family about the things that they want to accomplish or the things that they need to do, then you're being selfish.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing that I've learned as a dad is just like you have to be selfless, not so much selfish.
Yeah.
But it's a slippery slope, because if you don't take those times to be selfish, then you start building resentment.
100%.
And then like you're like, man, I've given up this, I've given up that, and now it's like, well, what's mine?
Yeah.
And I've been there. I've been there before, because it's like, and like I
think you've been there not too recently. Like, not throwing all our business out there, but I think we've definitely had times where you always felt like you were the one that was sacrificing and none of us were. And you were doing it for the betterment of all of us. Mm-hmm. And we weren't asking you to do it. You were just, throwing yourself on the sword. Yeah, so to speak. And so I guess because we weren't progressing the way that we wanted to, I guess that resentment built in those ways.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's probably a good analogy or compilation or whatever
expression
synonym.
Of words.
But yeah, no, it's you have to give yourself time, and that's one thing I've always pushed you to, because you're really bad at
100%
not taking the time or like saying, hey, we plan to do XYZ, and then you're like, okay, and then it comes down to it and you just scratch it last minute and you're like, oh, I did. Like, it could be something simple, guys. I could say, hey, go get whatever from the store, or like go get your nails done, or like go take time for yourself. And then she's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and then stay home with the kids. And then she comes back with a Target bag, and I'm like, what's that? Oh, well, I couldn't justify spending it, so I went and bought Target. They needed socks. I'm like, what? Socks? You need to go take care of yourself. And the same thing for for the guys and the kids too.
Yeah,
like you have to give that time to your children. You have to, because though it's our responsibility to take care of them, provide for them, protect them all, put whatever name or word right there.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, your kids are looking at you, and if you don't have that relationship, and I'm bad about it. My oldest, she's like, "Hey, when we playing Roblox?"
Shoot, and she does not forget. Do not set a date.
Movie, you know, she'll remember. You know, and they'll hold you accountable, and then just how you tell your kids that they shouldn't lie. You know, you shouldn't lie to your kids because they remember. You can't use that excuse. They're kids. Like, they're always gonna, they'll be fine. Yeah, they'll be fine, but they'll probably, have trauma for the rest of their lives because of it. Now,
and therapy's expensive.
So it's, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a good way to cover how, balancing, because it is a lot of balancing,
It's more like a symphony too. When you're trying to balance, everything's gonna web and weave together, and it's gonna create. It's gonna create a beautiful song at the end of it. If you're actually communicating and you're being lockstep, I mean, that's something we still work on today. We're not always lockstep, but I feel like we do take those moments. It's like, okay, you're over here, I'm over here. We need to be in the middle together,
right,
versus being on our own, doing our own things. Far as like the goals we have, and I felt like we've always been great together when we are in lockstep versus when we're just trying to attain our own goals.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. It's the know when to give each other that space. So yeah, and I think that's what you said is the knowing when to give your partner that space and that lane to like, hey, they're working on this, and be that supportive person. And also like, okay, time to, now we're here. Let's bring it back in, up and down. So yeah, I think my camera just out focused. No. Anyways, yeah. But anyways, enough about us. Now this interview is about you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is you took 24 minutes to introduce us. Now
I don't think, we kind of like hit some key
No,
notes.
yeah. We dropped some gems.
Drop some bombs.
Sign up for Patreon so you can get these these gems for free. But yeah, so I guess your story is a crazy one.
Very much so. Do you want me to go into details about it?
Well, I'm gonna hit a few things, and then you can just go from there. So, let's see. Military brat.
Yep.
Mom was Air Force.
Whoop whoop.
22 years, 23 years, something like that.
22 years. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So you're born in Alaska.
Yes.
And
shout out to Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson.
Was it that? I thought you were born in Lewis and McCourt.
Absolutely not.
Really? Interesting.
J Bear all day. Well, it wasn't J Bear then, but it's J Bear now.
Oh.
But it was just Elmendorf base. But then they joined the bases there.
Did you have like a husky puppy?
I wish. It was just
bobsledding.
It was cold all the time.
Nice. Yeah. So you were born in Alaska.
Yep.
You guys, you. It seems like almost half of your life was living in different places, and then half of your life was living in Ahoskie, North Carolina, with your grandparents.
A little less than half. I would say like a fourth of my life was in Ahoskie, and then the rest was with my mom. I mean, the only reason that we were there is like my mom was a single mom, of course. So with that happening, she had, when she went on deployments or transitions and stuff in our lives, we would come home to our grandparents and spend the time here. So then that way she can do her deployment or get our new duty station set up before she brings us.
Yeah. Okay. So then you lived in Alaska. You were born in Alaska. You went back to Alaska later on in life.
Yep. High school.
In high school.
Yeah.
And you lived in Utah. So what was that, Alaska? Then it was Utah?
Alaska. Yep. Then Utah, because my sister was born in Utah.
Yep. And then you guys went to England.
Yep.
You guys lived in England for how long?
Oh, gosh. I don't even know how long, but I spent a couple of school years there. That's pretty much a hazy time frame because I spent a lot of time in England. And then some of that time we were actually in North Carolina, too, with our grandparents because, like, in the middle of our duties, of our term there, my mom got sent to Greenland or
Iceland, Greenland,
Iceland, Greenland. She just said somewhere. My mom went all over the place.
7 different
Korea.
missions,
Yeah.
including like deployments and also
Yeah.
duty stations.
She was everywhere. She was really loved in the military too. They called her Mama T. She always had troops over at the house. I mean, my mom was like Mama Bear to everyone. So that was in her military career, of course.
Did that ever, like, when you think about how, was your mom pretty across the board on how she handled being an NCO versus like being a mom? Like,
my mom was the same person in and out of work. It was so bad that, yeah, it didn't matter where you were. If she had to cuss you out, she would cuss you out. And then if you needed some loving, she'll give you some loving. Like, to the point that one of the placards they gave her, I think from Mildenhall, which is England, was the base in England that we were at. It was like, they get in recognition to Hail to the Gnaw, Mama T. Like, that's what they called her, because she's always saying Hail to the Gnaw. And that was like her stance. And she's very country. She's a big country bumpkin, just like the rest of us. So I think they just loved her for that.
Yeah. Okay. So, military brat.
Yep.
You graduated with every single cord you could potentially have at a graduation, right? Like, I don't think they didn't hand anybody else any cords at graduation, because I think you had them all.
I did. Some people were pretty impressed and shocked that the girl who never went to class in her senior year had so many cords and so many recognitions. But yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I had one. It was
very different on the
JROTC
high school
cord, and I think I only got it because I was in JRO a certain amount of semesters.
Like, I am gonna do one thing and I'm gonna stick to it, and that's it.
Yeah, I didn't fail any classes.
That's good.
I
failed art.
I feel like I was like in the middle of the pack, like right at the middle, not the back middle, but like the good middle. Like, if you were like divide 50-50.
You're number 50.
Oh, 50-50 is crazy, huh? I was about to say, I was gonna be, I'm on the half. The cup is half full, not the half empty. But
sometimes your Southern Nash education makes me question the state of North Carolina. Sometimes.
Nash County makes me question my education. Shout out Nash County though, 252. But yeah, no. So I just think my strengths in education did not come from books.
No,
I think
you're street smart.
Street smart. Yeah.
So then, what am I?
Head on a swivel.
I feel like I'm a little mix of both.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Good.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Maybe more one than the other, but a little bit of. Hey, I'll be 100% street smart. That's fine. Yeah. What was the challenging part about being in so many different places? I know we've had conversations about how building relationships was really hard for you, because you're like, man, I built this relationship for a year. It solidifies after year 2, and then year 3, I have to cut ties. So like, how, did you always keep a distance? Like, did you ever let anybody like too close because you didn't want to like have to, go through that grief of being separated, or did you just approach it a relationship at a time and see how it went?
I think I'm an all-in person. I'm very empathetic. So I think I go in, no matter where we were at with friendships, 100%. And I don't ever think about, we're going to have to leave in 4 to 5 years, 3 years, and I'm going to have to start all over until that time comes up. And I think, like, in the early years, like being stationed in England and Utah, the friends that we made there, I mean, at least for me, because I was a child, it was hard to keep those friendships going. This is before like Facebook and having, really cool iPhones where you can FaceTime and text. We had the minutes still, so you kind of had to keep your thoughts and your text messages to a minimum.
For y'all Gen Zs and Generation Alpha, whatever the next one is.
Alpha is our kids.
Okay. We had to buy minutes to use back in the day.
And you had little Nokias and Motorola's that were indestructible.
Yeah, there was no Wi-Fi.
Nope.
No, Wi-Fi didn't even exist.
Well, you had to wait till 9 o'clock to make
it probably did not exist for us civilians. I'm pretty sure sergeants that I had when I was in the National Guard were talking about how they used to have, and I'm pretty sure that's how the case was. But yeah, you have to use to buy minutes, and then AT&T became really popular because they're like, rollover. So if you didn't use all your minutes, you got to roll them over. So you would buy a package 1,000, 1,500, whatever. All my phone calls were always like a minute. So before I switched plans with AT&T, I had 30 some thousand minutes rolled over.
goodness.
So like, yeah.
Why did you keep buying minutes if you?
No, it's just what you got. You got. And my dad at the time, he bought like, then he gave me a 5,000 minute package, and then it just rolled over. So I used to always get the statement, and it said,
I was the kid that never had enough.
I remember one time my cousin Jackie grabbed my phone and bought a ringtone. Back then, the internet was really expensive to use on the phones. Man, my mom got a bill, something ridiculous. So I was in trouble.
Well, it was probably ridiculous back then, but now we're probably like, oh, it's a norm.
We're talking about building those relationships. So you said you were always all in,
Yeah.
which is nice.
And then I just need to keep them up. I think it's like when we talked before, I always said like at the 5-year mark, I kind of have this now self-evaluation, like, okay, does this friendship mean enough to me to keep it going, or am I at my 5-year mark due to like moving and I'm not really going to keep this friendship after that? And I think it has taught me the value of having people in your life at certain seasons for a reason, and then understanding the difference of having lifelong friends. And I do have a couple, and I mean, there are some friends that I really wish were long-term friends that we kind of just fuzzled out. Mainly because, I mean, I'm 27 and I have 3 kids and multiple careers at one time. And a lot of people our age aren't doing what we're doing.
Yeah,
they can't relate.
Well, I think a lot of the relationships are built because there's a common purpose, right? Like you build relationships in school. Like if you're in the same county, you live in the same house, and at least in Nash County, they didn't redraw the lines as often, at least that I'm aware of. So like if you lived in Bailey, you went to Bailey Elementary. If you lived in Middlesex, you went to Middlesex. If you went to Springs, you went to Springs. But all those 3 towns and then maybe a little bit surrounding areas, we all went to Southern Nash Middle. Yeah. And we all went to Southern Nash High. So it's like you meet these people in elementary school, and you're with them all 5 years, and then you go to the same middle school, and then you go to the same high school. I had a house fire in 6th grade. All the friends I had leading up to 6th grade, when I came back 2 years later to do 8th grade, is like we weren't friends anymore. And I still, saw them and talked to them, but I could feel the difference.
The difference, yeah.
So like I think just the relationships have to have a common purpose.
Yeah, and time will always either grow a relationship or kill it. And so you have to just put in the work if you actually want that friend or that relationship or whatever it is. And I feel like the military has helped me reevaluate who is a good friend and who is there for a season. And it's no dig on anyone. It's just that's a part of life, right? People come and go. You don't wish them ill or anything of that nature. You just know that whatever they were there for, they served that purpose and hopefully made you and them a better person when splitting ways.
No, it's like, some come for a reason, some come for a season, kind of thing. But the season could be short, it could be long. It just depends. Yeah, that's good.
But it still hurts. I'm a very empathetic person. So
it's not even just about being empathetic. I think it's just you build that love for them. Not love like you'll love a partner that you want to be with, but like just love in general.
I think I go all in, no matter what it is.
And the price of love is grief.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that, between my dad passing away and my grandma passing away, like those are 2 hard times because they were 2, there were 2 pillars in my life, and both of them are gone. And then it was like, man, it was before my kids could meet them. And I share with that aspect, like I never met any of my grandfathers. So like you hear always these relationships with, I do this for my grandpa, I did that for my grandpa, and I never got to meet them. So your grandpa is actually the closest
my papa
thing that I have as a grandfather. And yeah,
and he was like the one stable person in my life, like man figure, father figure, would be my papa. I love him to death. I mean, he can never do any wrong in my eyes. That is my go-to. And I think he was also a very strong voice of reason when we got together. I think him loving on you the way he did and accepting you and accepting us together was like, okay, I can do this. Like, I can be in a very committed relationship with this person that I really do like. Because at the time we were still dating and everything, which was also something that I struggled with, you know, just being in, you know, very long-term relationships that were built on things other than just physicalities and very materialistic aspect.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was. I love Fred. Fred's awesome. There were times where he would, and it was not because he was doing anything wrong, but it was just like he was just giving me good props. Like, you know, you're a good dude, this and that. And sometimes the comments, because of just my self-esteem and how I felt about myself, it was hard to receive.
Yeah.
And he, you know, he just meant it in the most genuine way possible.
Most loving way.
Yeah. You know, that's, and I think, as you know, I was reading a book and it talked about that, how us men, we can't take like, hey, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
You know, or like, you're an amazing guy. Because we're like, nah, man, you know, I didn't XYZ. And, you know, we that shame keeps us from allowing to be loved on. So that's something I had to learn how to overcome myself. So, so, let's see. So, great academics, and you from there you went. So you finished out military, living in Florida.
Yeah.
In Panama City, right?
Yeah, that was a great way to end high school. I will say that. Not the education, but the surrounding area.
Right. When you're in Florida.
Yeah. Spring break, destination.
Oh, that's another episode.
I was a different person in those days.
Hey, we all were. So then you
go to UNC Charlotte.
Yep, UNC.
Did a full year. Well, crazy story. So it was between me and one other candidate to get in for the last spot for UNC Charlotte for the fall semester. Unfortunately, this person had 2 volunteer hours more than me. So they actually got the spot, but I got in for the winter semester. So I didn't start at UNC Charlotte at the regular school year. So I went to Gulf Coast Community College, and I actually had scholarships there. So I paid for nothing, which was great. Yeah. And it was like right on the beach too. So it was great. It was like, honestly, if Zoe 101 was a real thing, that's what the school looked like. But this is back then, before the hurricane came. I think it was Matthew that really destroyed Panama City. I haven't been back since.
I think it was Matthew. Matthew destroyed North Carolina.
Matthew hit Florida, too. It hit the coast of Florida, like the Panhandle. Anyway, don't know which hurricane, but there was one, and it totally wrecked the area, unfortunately. But yeah, so then from there, I went to UNC Charlotte and did a year. And then, just like most kids, the great old question of how are you going to pay for this since you're considered out of state came up. And I actually left UNC Charlotte. I was there for a nursing major, and I went to live with my aunt who was established here in Raleigh for basically all my life, and came here and went to Wake Tech Community College, where I continued my nursing career.
Shout out Eagles.
Whoop whoop. Yeah, and then from there I was working. Well, she helped me get a job at a beauty supply store, and I only got that job because they thought I was Hispanic, and I spoke Spanish just like everyone else in that store. I did not. I'm not Hispanic at all. And Oreo. And I ended up working with all of Luis's family. Little did I know it at the time. And he just so happened to come into the store one day. And I guess I looked at him a little too hard because my boss then was like, oh, don't worry, I'll give him your number. And the rest is pretty much history.
Yeah, she was like, hey, cashier number 2. You can verify this.
You can.
Find Yo-Yo and then ask her. It's just exactly what she said.
Exactly.
And we got to know each other.
Yeah.
And then, here we are.
The first time I ever went to Steak Shack, and we have not been back since. Steak and Shake. Horrible.
She has horrible taste. She doesn't like Waffle House either.
Waffle House has grown on me a little bit, but it will not be my first choice for breakfast. Yeah.
It's crazy, Waffle House. But yeah, so, yeah.
And then transition to corporate America, kind of gave up being a nurse and everything just because our life was hectic, and I just didn't want to add any more to it.
knowing each other to being a wife for a month,
Yeah.
to then being a mom, and then
Yeah.
help taking care of a home, working, and then so many different, getting integrated with my family. I'm getting integrated with your family.
Yep. Learning Spanish.
Learning Spanish and
learning Dominican heritage and culture, and making sure I'm doing a good job as,
I'm not the most well versed. I've been here since 3. I remember my grandma's corner intersection. There's a police department on one corner. There's 2 stores on opposite ends, and then there's, I think, a house in the other corner. And that's about all I remember.
I haven't been yet, but I think the goal is to go in the very near future with all the kids. Yeah. I think we just kept having kids every time we kept planning to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy to go when,
you're 9 months pregnant or have like a 3-month-old.
Your parents aren't paying for it. I used to go all the time. My parents paid for it, but not anymore.
Yeah. But now, just transitioning to, I was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit when we made the crazy decision to move to Florida and stay there for 4 months and move back. That was great.
No shout outs there.
No, none.
Orlando is
horrible to live at. But
at least in our opinion. Some people, it's wonderful. They love Orlando. The Disney's there. All the parks are there. Everybody's on vacation, but the people that live there. So it's like you got all these different. You know how it is.
Yeah.
People on vacation, they don't have no cares.
No worries.
So.
And they drive like it.
Yep. I-4 is atrocious.
Yeah, and then came back and
we just lost all the Florida listeners. They're gonna listen to it and be like, "Oh, I don't like that, guys."
He doesn't like Florida.
He doesn't like Florida. I love Florida to visit. It's amazing to visit.
We're actually going back in September.
Yeah.
But we keep losing our train of thought. Stay online.
Sorry.
Now I am helping my cousin basically run his trucking transportation company.
Yep.
I am the only office person with the truck drivers. So that has been a very growing transition, will be the word I use, just because I knew nothing about transportation. I knew nothing about trucking. I knew nothing about like the regulations and enforcements they have to go through. And I feel like I'm very well versed now, after just taking that time to educate myself and educate him a little bit more too, because he needed help because we were letting stuff fall through the cracks, right?
Yeah, he definitely had the trucking part down. He just needed more help with like all the
fine tuning, dotting the I's,
office stuff that comes with it. Because once you grow, even if it's a marginal growth, you don't have to. I'm not saying you got to have 500,000 employees or whatever, but just when it's managed, it's hard to manage. Imagine managing other people to make sure.
100%.
And
other men too, like. That comes with its own set of challenges, and not that there's anything wrong with them. They're great guys. I love working with them, but I think everyone has their own opinion and own viewpoint of how things should go, and so trying to wrangle them into what needs to happen for the company to help the company grow, especially coming from somebody who's just coming on and they've been working with him for quite some time. I think I had to assert some dominance there.
It's not so much about dominance. It's just change. Change is hard for if you're not used to it.
Somebody telling you got to go, fill out all this paperwork, and they're like, "He did it. No, you didn't do it my way. It needs to be done."
Well, maybe that is a little bit of dominance.
Yeah, that's a little bit of dominance, a little bit of control, but
it's helping things stay on course. So that's the important part.
100%. And I think it's a great segue from coming from not working to working. I feel like he really enjoys the help, and I really enjoy helping him. And it's hard, because it's your family, but you also have to respect that it's business. And so we kind of leave the family aspect alone during business hours. And then we're still family at the end of the day. So even if, I don't have this position later on in life, no matter how it turns out, I don't think we're going to let that affect our relationship as family, because he is my older cousin. I do look up to him. He's one of the ones who's honestly puts family first, but still tries to maintain having that entrepreneurial spirit and keeping his company growing. So I really respect and look up to him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, office administrator, public notary for the state. So,
yes, North Carolina. So if you need your papers notarized, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm mobile too.
Yeah, we'll have to drop your where to find you at here in the video. And then you're moving on to some other things.
Yeah.
Some educational platforms and providing services in different aspects too.
Oh yeah. some
cool.
services that we're taking heed into to leave back for our kids and their kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's what interested us in the beginning of it, is to what are we really doing for our kids to make sure that they're set apart from the lifestyles that we had growing up and the challenges we had to face.
Yeah, because whatever challenges you have now as parents, or you don't even have to have kids.
No.
You know, whatever challenges you're facing currently, if you see that this is a problem, maybe let's just look at your family.
Yeah.
This isn't like go interview them. You know who's who. You know, just look at your family, and if you see a common trait, those are things that either you work it out now, or if you leave the lineage, they're gonna have to work it out, and if they don't, their lineage, it's a revolving door. It's called a generational curse for a reason, because it's not that somebody cursed you. It's just there's something that was brought into the family, a bad habit, XYZ.
Saying.
If you don't establish those boundaries and work through those things, you're going to just pass it on to your kids.
A great way to look at it is you can leave behind wealth for your family or trauma.
Yeah. So, or both.
Yeah, that is true.
So
money doesn't fix everything.
It helps, but it doesn't fix everything.
No.
You know, having that should not be the forefront of everything. Even though it's an important tool. You know, you can't have a place to live if you don't have money. If you don't own it.
True.
You know, even if you own it, you got to pay taxes on it. So
yeah.
You got to have the money to pay for that. But cool. Now, in the midst of all this stuff,
yeah,
like, how do you prioritize? You know, how do you balance everything? Like, what takes priority? Like, between your kids, you know, or I guess what is the lens that you look through all these different things that you have?
Like, how do I put them in order? If like something's going to get attention, who gets it first?
Right.
I mean, I feel like early on we were taught like the right way to do it. It's always like for us and our belief, we put things God, family, work / business. So, and that's kind of the lens that we still follow.
It is our belief.
Our belief, yeah.
Anybody else's? Yeah. We're talking our personal situation.
Yeah.
So, just want to clarify that.
That's how, I mean, I wouldn't even say that's how we were raised. I mean, my grandma took us to church and we were in the church all the time. So I have that background, but I felt like we learned that once we joined the church that we are with today, even though it did take me some time because I did have church people hurt. I won't say church hurt, but church people hurt from my youth. So now that we've kind of overcome that, I feel like we thrive in our church as far as volunteering and just doing the things that we believe as our family is the right path for us. And then, of course, underneath that, our family. So my kids are going to get attention before anything else and making sure that their needs are met. And then, of course, business.
I think that's spot on how you handle it all.
And then I don't even think family just extends to like our kids. Like, I think sometimes we've chosen like family events over business events.
Yeah.
Just because we know we need to spend that time to nurture those relationships, even though we like our bubble and we really do protect our peace when it comes to both sides of our families and setting those boundaries.
Yeah.
But we do know when's the right time to like nurture them and whatnot. Alexa, stop timer. I'm in the middle of baking bread too, so I'm still multitasking. So that's my timer for my bread, which is something else that we've kind of taken up to that I totally forgot to mention.
Yeah. Homesteading, making bread.
Yeah, that's the goal, man. My chickens are already named. They're just not here yet.
Right. Yeah, they have human names. They don't have a human name in the dinner. So, so if you come over and when we have our homestead, this is so and so and so, but I call this one 2-piece and that one 3-piece. You know that you might be eating them later.
Or Bojangles Supreme.
So well, speaking about homestead, what are some future aspirations and goals that you have for the family and for yourself?
That's a great question. I think for the family, I mean, if we're going down our tier chart, right, we're definitely building our faith more. Definitely individually for myself, and more so not just like listening to the word from somebody else, but actually reading it and entwining it into my life is more of a goal I have for this year than just like a future goal. But of course, like always keeping that literature with me is something that I am aspiring to do. Of course, we want land. We're big country people, if you can't tell by now.
Yeah.
So we want a bunch of land. I want a big old barn with chickens and a farm and stuff like that. I don't really want to be a part of the burbs or anything. Not saying it's wrong with that, but I think it goes back to us protecting our peace and wanting our own space is kind of how I see that.
Yeah.
And just building crazy wealth, man, to leave behind for the kids and their kids, and do things with our family that nobody else has been able to do in our families. Like, I want to be able to build my mom her dream home and give her everything in life that she's given to us tenfold. Just because my mom sacrificed a lot, and I know your mom did too. Yeah. And they're big pillars in our life and always have supported us, no matter what the dream or the goal was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you definitely have to build those things in place that no matter what administration is in office, you know, I don't think that should matter. You should focus on, you know, what you're currently doing and what you're working towards, you know, so.
Yeah.
But yeah. Cool. So, we're getting pretty close to wrapping up the episode. It's been an amazing one so far, but.
Yeah. You do this again. I think we keep getting off track, but it's good.
Have a lot going on, but.
I mean, when do we not have a lot going on? That's the whole topic of this episode, is when you have a lot going on.
Well, yeah, if you want a representation of what it is to have kids while working from home, this is it.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't even mention that. We both work from home full time.
We both work from home.
With 2 kids at home full time. So.
One's in school, 1, 2 at home. So.
Yeah. It's chaotic over here, but I love it.
Yeah. As somebody that's went from high school student, college student, working mother, a wife, I was supposed to say husband.
But you know me.
If you could, you know, in a few sentences, just give some solid advice for somebody that is maybe similar background or might be facing, you know, certain situations in the future, you know, just from your perspective, what helped you, what, you know, derailed you, what could you have done better? You know, I guess the pros and cons from what you've learned the last, I guess, 10 years now, you know, transitioning from school into college and everything else in between.
I think that the biggest takeaway that I had to learn was all of our journeys are not going to look the same. I know we all have that cookie cutter image. Well, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get a good paying job. I'm going to get married and have kids. And I had that plan, and God was like, let me show you something funny. And we did not do that way at all. Completely bombed that kind of list principle. So I think I stood in my own way more than anything. And once I learned to let go and kind of go with the flow of things, of course you want to hold on to some control and make sure that you are progressing in life. But once I let go of some of that control of it has to be this way at this time, everything kind of became better for us and in my life too. And I actually learned to enjoy the season that I was in versus regretting the things that I didn't do when I wanted to do them. My biggest goal was to be a nurse. Am I a nurse? No. But I am so grateful for the job and the opportunities that I have now and the things that we've built together versus any career that I think I could have had outside of this. So I think it is to enjoy the moment and go with the flow. I mean, everything's not going to be cookie cutter perfect. Who would have thought, 20 years ago, people were making a living streaming content and just telling people about their lives and playing video games. You never know what the future holds for you. So always be proactively happy in where you are.
Yeah.
I think would be my advice.
Yeah, you have to be fulfilled where you currently are.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with working towards everything else. There's a lot of personal goals I'm trying to work on. I lose weight, be better in shape, better job.
Spend more time together.
Spend more time, build a relationship. I mean, you put it, you have to be fulfilled currently because you don't play the comparison game.
Gosh, I was
because
big one in doing that.
You're better off than you actually are, than you think you are.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody that's in a worse situation than you are.
And we only see the highlight reel on, Instagram, Facebook, and all that. We don't see what's really going on behind the camera.
You don't know if all that was bankrolled on a credit card, or you don't know if they come from a wealthy family, or you don't know if somebody's just paying for it so they can make it. You don't know.
Yeah.
And that like button, we just, look, so-and-so is doing this. That's awesome for them. Be happy for them.
Yeah.
Be happy for them and then strive for that. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want that, what do you need to do?
Strive for it in your own way.
Right,
You can't never mimic or imitate what somebody else has without it dimming your lights on. That's another thing. Never dim your own light or anybody else's light to make yourself feel better.
It was just another side of that is that if somebody's done something, it's like, look at a trade. I was electrician, right? I was electrician. Breaker, light switch, light. Breaker, light switch, light. That's a clear path. If somebody's done something that you want, it's okay to imitate that path.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you have to become that person, because you don't know what that person did to be there. But you know that they started a business, that they did this, they invested, or XYZ, and now they have the XYZ things that you might want. But don't become that person. Be you. Like she said, don't dim your light. Be you. Because when you're you, the people that are actually meant to be in your life, they're going to be there.
Okay.
But if you're changing who you are just because you want to fit into a bubble, whenever that bubble pops, the whole fake persona you build also pops too.
Yeah.
And now you are down the road a few years, and you're like, man, who am I?
Yeah. Or actually wondering if people like you for you, or like you for the persona that you built.
Right. So now, and then us as humans, we already make cells in our brain that we lock ourselves in these boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, you're making things worse for yourself. So always be you. Nothing wrong with imitating to a certain extent. But just, always be you.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I've learned. And just what I'm building now, I'm researching what people are doing that it's actually successful.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to be them, but I'm trying to do what they did. So
you're trying to educate yourself. Yeah. Education never stops to the day you die.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a college education.
No.
Not saying there's anything wrong with college. If I need brain surgery, I need you to go to college. I need you to know how all those pieces work. But, education doesn't just stem from that, because it's in everything.
Yeah.
So you can learn from kids, just you can learn from
and kids
else.
will humble you.
Oh, yeah.
To another level.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter is probably the most humbling experience ever for me.
Don't tell her nothing that's open-ended, boy, because she will open that door.
Yeah. And there's no closing it after that.
Yeah. This is great.
It's been
I'm
fun.
glad
even though I didn't want to do this at first, I'm glad I did.
Yeah. No, this has been fun. This has been a great episode. It's nice to know that I have all you witnesses that I listen. Right? I didn't. There was a few things I didn't know, but I've been listening. So.
Sure.
I've been listening.
We'll test your knowledge on another
episode.
Yeah, we'll do another episode. Yeah. See how much you actually listen.
Then I'm gonna just butcher it, but so. But
it's also on the other end of that, how much I actually listen to you.
Yeah, we'll see. Never know.
You never know.
Episode 3. I was kidding.
No, not that soon. Give it some time.
Right, but yeah. But this has been good. I think this is gonna help. A lot of people that tune in.
It helped us more than anything.
Yeah, tune in to know that if you have a similar background or just things you can apply to your personal life, and know that where you're at right now doesn't mean that's where you got to stay. You never know what, in our belief, and you never know what God's going to put in your path and how things are going to move.
Yeah.
In your own belief. You don't have to believe what we believe, but you can also believe that things are going to turn out for the better. I don't think that's a religion or anything. That's just
hope.
That's just having that hope.
Yeah.
So thanks, thanks for sharing. Thanks for coming on. And
anytime for you.
Yeah, now it's on recording. So yeah, well, thanks, baby.
Anytime.
Love you.
Love you.